Hello, Fantastic Beasts fans! So between J.K. Rowling's recent announcement revealing Jessica Williams' role and the CinemaCon release of new footage for Crimes of Grindelwald, one of my pet theories is totally busted. But that's okay, because now I get to make new ones. I'm Susan Chapal with Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts to bring you the clues. Join me and other Fantastic Beasts fans here on the Beast Chaser Forum as we uncover the secrets, discover what's coming first, and play along with Rowling's newest game. Both Rowling's announcement and the new footage at CinemaCon revealed info that busted both theories I had on the Flamels. One, that Jessica would play Perenelle, and two, that we caught a glimpse of the Flamels in the ball scene. However, bits of those theories are still active, as I'll explore as we go. Let's first look at the tantalizing new clues behind Jessica Williams' role, and then delve into the exciting new bits revealed in the new trailer at CinemaCon. Rowling reveals Jessica's role as Professor Eulalie Hicks of Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, but she does not say what exactly Lally teaches. A second tweet states that we will only see a bit of Lally in Crimes of Grindelwald, but that her true glory will be revealed in FB3. So in all honesty, the first question that comes to my mind is why did the revelation of a professor at Ilvermorny require such secrecy? What is there in her name or her position that Rowling was hiding? Let's first look at her name. Eulalie is a French name meaning sweetly speaking or well-spoken. So the biggest hint I see here is the French connection. As Credence and Leda's family tree showed several women with French names, and we know Flamel is French, maybe there is a relationship somewhere in there after all. Regarding her historical namesakes, there was a young saint from the 3rd century who was martyred. When she died, a dove supposedly flew from her mouth, and we're seeing a lot of bird hints throughout Fantastic Beasts, but this is a very loose connection, even for me. However, the connection with her name that intrigues me most is a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, Eulalie, a song. It's a love poem about the joy a man's new bride brings to his life. Beside the theme of love, which of course is good for Rowling, the theme has one line that caught my attention. And all day long shines bright and strong a star day within the sky, while ever to her dear Eulalie upturns her matron eye, while ever to her young Eulalie upturns her violet eye. By naming Astarte, Poe is referring to Venus as the morning and evening star, and the goddess of love, fertility, and war who represented Venus. Astarte is the Greek name for the Sumerian Inanna or Babylonian Ishtar. Ishtar, often called the Queen of Heaven, was a powerful goddess who survived for thousands of years. One of her main symbols is the 8-pointed star, shown here. And in Fantastic Beasts, we've seen a similar symbol in the Lestrange family tree, another link between Lally and Leda. But to be honest, this is a big topic that relates to two other theories that I'm working on, so I'll go into it more later. On to Jessica's role as a professor at Ilvermorny. Why would this require secrecy? One of the first possibilities was pointed out to me by Carissa Ann as soon as the announcement was made. She wonders if the presence of Professor Lally means we'll be seeing a new student, perhaps Modesty Barebone, which I think would be totally cool. As I mentioned in one of my earliest videos, I believe Modesty may be magical and will play an important role later in the series. The importance of Jessica at Ilvermorny also relates to a prior video. In Credence as an Atomic Bomb, we saw how Rowling used key locations for the development of the bomb in the first film. Then, in my theory on Jessica as Perenelle, I showed Rowling's tweet to Jessica that hints at alchemy. While alchemy is the forerunner of chemistry, it also influenced future physics, like with Isaac Newton, namesake of Newt. Considering that the U.S. developed the atomic bomb in World War II, I'm wondering if Professor Lally could be a professor of alchemy who will be involved either in developing or destructing a magical weapon, perhaps as relates to Credence. With the new footage released at CinemaCon, Attendees reported several new and interesting parts. First, a flashback scene shows Newt as a student with Dumbledore teaching them how to face their fears with a Boggart, much like Lupin did later with Harry. Newt's Boggart turns into a desk, showing how much Newt is afraid of having an office job. This is a cute bit meant to show Newt's active, adventuring character. But the main question I have is, why is Dumbledore, who is supposed to be a transfiguration professor, teaching a defense against the dark arts skill? We saw him in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom in the original trailer, but I wondered if perhaps the classroom had previously been used for transfigurations. Now, this new footage seems to hint even stronger that Dumbledore previously taught defense. Could this be a temp job like when Lupin was sick and Snape covered for him? Or could Rowling be adding to canon that Dumbledore first taught defense against the dark arts? If so, I'm guessing that something important will happen to make Dumbledore switch from defense to transfigurations. Another tidbit thrown out is that the trailer briefly shows Dumbledore looking into the mirror of Erised. As we know from the end of the Potter series that Dumbledore's deepest desire was to see his family whole and reunited, including Ariana, can we assume that this scene might hint at the revelation of Ariana as an Obscurus? Finally, we come to one of the biggest reveals. Brannis Jodorowsky appears as Nicolas Flamel, and he totally blows apart my theory of seeing him in the ball scene. Instead, Flamel appears as a very old man emerging from a dusty lab, so it may take place somewhere in or near his home in France. Jacob mistakes him for a ghost and jokes, "You don't look a day over 375. What's most interesting to me, however, is what Flamel says in response. "No, I'm alive, but I'm an alchemist, and therefore immortal." Immortal. What's curious about this is that we know he's not, as he dies in Harry Potter once his Philosopher's Stone is destroyed. However, Rowling is deliberately highlighting the link between alchemy and immortality here, and I'm guessing the reason has to do with whatever she's doing with that symbol. As I showed in the prior video on Perenelle, the purple heron is used symbolically in alchemy as well as the phoenix, which is of course immortal. Ishtar, a goddess who traveled to and returned from the underworld, is also frequently pictured winged. And as Suvi Home pointed out in the last video, we've got wings aplenty in Fantastic Beasts. Now we also have an Ilvermorny professor who may have links to birds and alchemy. I'm wondering if this possible Star of Ishtar symbol may provide a link from the Lestranges to Lolly Hicks, which will most likely figure into Grindelwald's mission as well. In the new footage, not only is more shown of Grindelwald's escape, with the scene of him shooting from that flying thestral carriage, but also more is shown in New York of magicals being ostracized by no-mages, and Grindelwald appearing as a hero among a group of wizards saying, "The old ways serve us no longer." And then we get more of that critical discussion between Newt and Dumbledore. "You've heard rumors Grindelwald will rise to dominate the wizarding world," Dumbledore says. "You're asking me to help?" Newt replies. "And to learn," says Dumbledore. "I can't move against Grindelwald. It has to be you." And to learn. Learn what and why? What does Newt need to learn that Dumbledore cannot? Could this be parallel to the Pensieve lessons with Harry? Or is it spying knowledge, intelligence, so they can make a plan as to what to do? And why would Newt be more capable of this than Dumbledore? So is Newt being cast into Harry's role or Snape's? Personally, I think we're more likely to see Newt spying on Grindelwald than exploring his tortured past, though it may necessarily include a bit of both. Finally, apparently some incomplete footage was shown of giant cats with enormous yellow eyes. I can only speculate that these must be Wampus cats. Without seeing the footage, it's hard to guess what their role may be. But as we're not supposed to be in the US long, I'm wondering if they're associated with Professor Lally. Also, their magical powers include both legitimacy and hypnosis, which would be very interesting. I wonder if Newt could have possibly rescued one before leaving New York. What do you think we'll be seeing of Professor Lally Hicks? And what was your favorite new bit from the CinemaCon trailer? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And please check out my newest release, Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts, the video book. I've linked to it in the description below. Until next time.